second lesson we can extract from this is for women. Women need to realize that this crap about inner beauty is absolute garbage. It is crap, garbage, and it makes no sense from the biological perspective. If you want to enhance your mate value as a woman, you need to get physically as attractive as you can. Now, as I've already said, we all have our limitations from our genes. But as I've also said, you could be a genetic 6, but you're currently a 2 because your diet and lifestyle are shit. What you need to do, if you are a genetic 6, you need to find a way to get to that position, to maximize what it is that you have in this life. And if you're a woman and we're talking about mate value, in other words, what men value in you, if that's what we're talking about, you need to get to work on your physical attractiveness. You need to leverage your physical assets, because that is what is going to be deemed most valuable from the perspective of a man. So for women out there, it's mostly in your physical attractiveness. It's very important to realize that, because you don't want to be deluded into thinking, oh, if I get myself very skilled at something, if I become a professional golfer, men are going to love that, aren't they? If I ascend the competitive hierarchy of business, all men just love whenever they see me walking around in my suit, acting like a man. Reality check to all the women out there. Men don't want you to act like men. So if you are walking around with a suit on, trying to mimic a man, like you're some big boss lady, CEO, that ain't that attractive. You want to be wearing clothes that leverage your figure. You want to be in shape so that you're as attractive as you can be. If you think that your skills and abilities as a woman are going to make up for the fact that you are a 2 out of 10 because you're out of shape and you're a slob, then you are deluded and you are going to miserably fail when it comes to potentially finding a mate. Because you're looking at it the wrong way. If you are not physically getting the most out of your body, if you are not leveraging to the maximum your physical assets as a woman, it doesn't matter how well you play the guitar, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you are the CEO of a company. It doesn't matter if you can swing a golf club like Paige. Men do not care. They do not care what your talents and abilities are. It means zero to them in terms of your mate value. Men just want to see, are you hot? Are you attractive? That is it. So do not fall into the trap if you are a woman. This is the second lesson. Do not fall into the trap of thinking that you can get away with being a fat slob and eating ice cream and cookies all day and being 50 pounds overweight or 100 pounds overweight. Don't think you can get away with that by simply getting better at your golf swing, playing the guitar, or ascending some dominance hierarchy in business. Ain't gonna cut it. Men don't care about that when it comes to mate value. So if you're a woman, get yourself in excellent physical condition and maximize whatever genetic potential you have. That's the second lesson. The third and final lesson from all of this, folks, is for the men. While the women can fall into the trap of inner beauty and how talented am I at something, what are my gifts and abilities, men will love if I'm able to play the guitar and I'm able to, run a business. Men don't care about that. In the same way, folks, if you're a man and you are living in the deluded land of thinking that it's all on your physical appearance, if you are thinking as a man that everything rides on how attractive I am, then that is an absolute ditto trap that you're falling into. Yes, you as a man, it's important that you are physically in good shape, that you are again maximizing your potential physically. You want to have the most representative version of you in front of any woman. Of course you do. So it's not that physical attractiveness isn't important for men, it is. It's just not as important as it is for females. Females' physical attractiveness is far more important for their mate value than a man's physical attractiveness is for his mate value. And so as a result, If you are a man, you don't want to fall into the trap of thinking, oh, well, my entire mate value and my potential to get a woman resides exclusively in my physical attractiveness. That's a trap. You need to realize that the bigger player here, if you are a man, what actually is more important than your physical appearance is your capacity to acquire and defend resources. That is more important for you as a man through the eyes of a female, because a female is willing to sleep down on the attractiveness of a man. Let's say you have a man who's an 8.5 out of 10, but he is extremely bad at acquiring and defending resources. But you've got some other dude who's a 5 out of 10, but he's a multi-millionaire, maybe a billionaire. He's extremely good at acquiring and defending his resources. Your physical attractiveness is not as beneficial to you if you are the 8.5 as you think. Because that woman won't just automatically choose you because you are an 8.5 and you are 3.5 marks higher than this 5 out of 10. Because this 5 out of 10, he is able to acquire and defend very important resources. And so if this woman has offspring with you, who's a flake, even though you're more attractive than our 5 out of 10, if you cannot acquire and defend resources effectively, then the offspring that she has with you, it's more unpredictable because you mightn't be able to provide and protect in the way that she would like. And so then her lens turns towards our 5 out of 10. And our 5 out of 10, he may not be as attractive as the 8.5, that's true. But he can acquire and defend resources considerably better. And so here's what we want to remember if we are a man. Just because you are more attractive than someone physically, that doesn't mean it's a done deal if you're a man. One could argue it's even more difficult for men in a sense, because not only do they have to be physically attractive, but they also, number two, have to be able to acquire and defend resources better than all of their other competitors. And if you as a man, if you are not very good at acquiring and defending resources, even if you are attractive, you are still going to be under enormous competitive pressure from a 5 out of 10, even if you're a 9 out of 10. You are still going to be under enormous competitive pressure from a 5 out of 10 who has the ability to acquire resources and defend them better than you. And that's the big difference between men and women. For the woman, it's all in her physical attractiveness, pretty much. For a man, yes, he has to be physically attractive, but he also needs to demonstrate his ability to acquire and defend resources. And you don't want to forget that as a man, because I see people online and in the real world, they are under this deluded notion that if I just get my muscles extremely big, and I become extremely athletically capable, then that is going to guarantee me all the success in the dating market and in order to catch a woman. And if that is how you are viewing the world, you are missing an extremely important piece of the puzzle, which is your ability to acquire and defend resources. And what you won't realize is, it doesn't matter how big you get your muscles in the gym. If you cannot acquire and defend resources as well as your competitors, you are probably going to get outcompeted. Because as I've already said, women are willing to sleep down if the man has an extraordinary ability relative to his competitors to acquire and defend resources. Women will make that trade-off. We see it all the time, folks. We know this. How often does a 22-year-old man willingly sleep with a 76-year-old woman? Doesn't happen, because men aren't looking for women to be able to acquire and defend resources. They just want the woman to be hot. That's it. But when it's the opposite, you could have a 22-year-old woman who will sleep with a 76-year-old man who's out of shape and a bit of a slob, but he's extremely wealthy and he can acquire and defend resources much, much better than the average person who's more attractive than him. And so what ends up happening? the attractive males get outcompeted by the unattractive ones. Because there's more to the equation for a male. And if you're a man, you need to realize this, because you don't want to be falling into the trap of thinking that it's all in your physical appearance. Your physical appearance and attractiveness is important, but there's something that arguably tops that, and it's your ability as a man to acquire and defend resources. Because you need to remember, from the perspective of the female is going to need these resources, and is going to need your protection and your capacity to defend the resources that you've acquired, because she is going to have to carry a child and then give birth to the child and then rear the child. She's going to need you to acquire and defend those resources so that her and her offspring can benefit from them. And if you're just attractive as a male, that ain't good enough. That ain't good enough. And you need to realize that. So yes, going to the gym is extremely important. You want to be in optimal physical condition as a man. But don't think that it's at the exact same degree of importance compared to females and their physical attractiveness. It's not. Men have to think of their capacity to acquire and defend resources.